It says my connection's terrible. No surprise. Okay, I think we're going live. No, now it says I have an excellent connection. So I'll wait for people to get in to see if they can even hear us. Hopefully, the audio's working. I haven't done this in so long.
Well, you were cutting off a moment ago, but now you're back again, so...
Right. Alright, we'll let people come filtering in, and hopefully they can hear us. And I'm already having streaming issues, so this might not even work out today. Anyone in the chat, let us know if you can hear EXO and I both say stuff EXO.
I think it's working fine.
Alright, cool. I just want to make sure that, I'm not just talking to the air like that one stream that went on for like 20 minutes and it was just me that you could hear. So it sounded like I was just talking to the air.
Okay, let's just quickly post something in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll let people know.
Wait, are you going to, or should I?
You go ahead if you want. You seems like you're already onto it. All right, cool. At least they seem like they can hear us. So, there have been several streams that have worked without any issues, but those are usually the exception, not the rule. My internet's been really good for like the last month, and then about 2 days ago, it just started being crap. So wonderful timing. So yeah, there might be some internet issues today, but hopefully will last. But we'll wait a few more minutes for more people to join in. I think I usually wait till there's between 10 to 20 viewers before I start. Yes, Codeman. I checked. I think it's 9 months since the last stream. It's mostly because, Hyrule Conquest has kind of been in limbo. Sort of. Not exactly, but kind of been in limbo for like 8 months because of, I guess, stuff we'll talk about.
Well, I said it in the video that I posted recently that... Actually, I didn't go into that much detail, but I hadn't touched Hyrule Conquest for months on end. So, no motivation, got a bit frustrated with the whole engine swap or the engine update. And then on top of the engine update, we got another engine update. And so, well, we're already dealing with the first update. Might as well go with the second one as well. So
okay, everyone's saying my mic is really loud. Is that better, or do I still sound like I'm screaming? I'll wait for people to respond in the chat. I lowered my mic volume. Do I still sound like I'm screaming, or... Okay, cool. That's better. Still loud? Alright, let's... How about now? Is that better? Am I still super loud, or... Okay, cool. Yeah, I had to turn it down to -40. I guess my mic was really loud. Oh, well now it's not. That's too quiet? Oh yeah, I overdid it. How about now? Is that better? Is that too loud or too quiet? We're already having a boomer moment. Still too quiet? I think, yeah, there's like a 30-second delay. Okay, let's...
That's about 15, I would say.
Okay. Alrighty. Now, hopefully that volume's good. Alright, cool. Let's see, how many people do we have in this stream? We have 17. I think it's good enough to start. So, yeah, hello, everyone. I think this is the first stream we've done in like 9 months. On the gameplay side of things, everything was kind of in limbo, so there's no real reason to do a live stream for that. And then on the non-gameplay side of things, Deox has been super busy, so him and I haven't done a stream in a long time. Deox might show up to the stream, but probably not. I just talked to him, and he's kind of trapped somewhere, so he might pop in, but he probably won't make it to the stream. But so it's probably just gonna be Exo and I for like the next hour or so, talking about Hyrule Conquest and goofing off, and maybe I'll do a Q&A, and I don't know, just kind of a laid back stream. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to the our nice little opening, Exo, or
Nice little opening.
yeah.
I mean, I was hoping a few more people would want to join for the live stream. I mean, we have Ascaris, we have our new balancer. Well, Odysseus is kind of out of the question because
Odysseus is still welcome to join if he wants, though.
I mean, if he wants to join, no, but he's been doing his own thing. He's kind of done with modding, he said, especially for the foreseeable future. So, and well, foreseeable future from the manner in which he spoke about it, I would say, might just be forever. Might be half a year. But in the upcoming months, I'm not expecting him to just out of the blue say, "Oh, I'm actually going back to modding again." I highly doubt it.
Oh,
so,
well. Well, he's always welcome to show back up if he wants. All his moblin ideas will probably make it in.
I asked Stan to join. He didn't really give a very clear answer. He just said, well, when he asked when the stream was, and that was about it. So maybe, I don't know if he's on or not, but
oh well.
Well, is there any topic you don't want to start with? Like maybe the whole 9 months that we've not been...
A new version of Hyrule Conquest will be out at midnight Pacific Standard Time today, or I guess tomorrow, technically, on Halloween. So everyone keep your eyes out on ModDB, and I'm probably going to end up being wrong, but I think it's the most stable version of Hyrule Conquest so far.
You mean in comparison to previous versions?
Yeah, or correct me if I'm wrong. You have a better handle on these things.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I watch a lot of AI games. That's usually how I come to find all the errors as well in the mod and what is going on. It is relatively stable, I would say. It's even though it's the A25 version, so I would well, from a gameplay perspective, it's definitely the most stable version.
Awesome.
And that is simply due to the formation fixes, which were a very big deal, which were really terrible in A23. So stuff.
Yeah,
I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine. But the stream is... Wait, are we back?
Absolutely.
I think we're back.
Stable. Are we back, everyone? Alright, I guess I won't restart the stream then. Anyway, yeah, we didn't even make it 10 minutes and my internet died. Alright.
It's the same.
Well, it wouldn't be a Nephystream if the internet didn't crash in the first 10 minutes. It's just part of the Nephystream. So anyway, the game may be stable, but the stream isn't.
No, indeed. No, it's definitely the most stable version. What was I saying? Yeah, the major reason why I still held on to the whole port to A25 was because of the formation changes. Because I knew that was going to really benefit the mod.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Odysseus made a lot of balance changes, but he didn't really complete them entirely. I noticed that when I was working through the Hylians and the Zora, and I still have to touch on to the Gerudo, but from a balancing perspective. And when I say from a balancing perspective, I'm only talking about the factions that I have looked at. And those are the AI supported factions. All the other factions, I know that they are not balanced whatsoever. They have received some minor updates. I believe some of the Labrina units needed a few updates because wasn't it that gunner unit he did at one point he did 800 pierce damage or something.
Oh, the Conqueror.
Yeah, and he did a crazy amount of true damage, but the old true damage is gone. I actually removed the code 2 days ago for the old true damage because it was still present. But yeah, all of that is working again. So that's great. But before before we go on with any other topic,
Uh-oh.
there has been a specific problem I had to deal with yesterday. I don't know
Oh,
if you
knockback?
remember. No, I want to rant a little bit about the knockback problem from yesterday.
Yeah, you never told
It
me what the... Because I remember you finally figured out what the issue was, and you're like, I can't believe
well,
that was the issue, but you never actually told me what it is, so
no.
I'm curious to know what it was and how stupid it was.
Well, so initially I was going to fix the Gerudo because that was going to be just for the release, right?
Yeah.
For all the factions. That was my initial idea, and then I found out while I was testing some of the Zora units, like the Morphite, he didn't have his proper melee animation, so I was checking that, and I figured, hey, he's actually not. There's no knockback. What's going on here? This makes no sense. Something is off, and then I started to check the code, and I realized that the way that Ascaris ported it over, like I'm not gonna fault him for not being able to.
And I lost EXO. There goes my internet again.
It's now gone.
I
Oh,
think we got disconnected again.
no, we're back. No, we're back.
Okay, cool.
I think we're back.
Alright, the last thing I heard was you're not going to fault Ascaris for the porting job he did on your knockback. That's
Yeah,
the
I'm
last
not.
thing I heard.
No, because he was working with whatever I'd given, or well, I hadn't given it to him, but he proposed that he would port the knockback so I could first fix the AI. That was back then. And
Right.
so I said, okay, sure, if you can do that, that's awesome. So he basically went off what I had done, and then all of the new stuff that was brought in into A25, all of the new vanilla stuff, that wasn't compatible with the old stuff. But he didn't know what was old and what was new. So he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to copy paste all of the old stuff back into the new stuff. And so we had two systems working at the same time. And the melee stuff was just absolutely broken. And even the range stuff was working off of an older version. I'm actually surprised it didn't cause any other issues. So first I went through that entire process to fix the whole melee stuff. And there were a few shenanigans in there. I'm not going to go into too much detail, otherwise we'll be sitting here for an hour. But yeah, that was very interesting. And so I fixed everything. I was like, okay, everything is now properly ported. And then I realized that once the units are being knocked back, they revert to their idle state if the knockback lasts long enough. So it was about 2 seconds or something. So I said, okay, I had that issue before in A23, so I'll just go to the animation reset in the unit AI and I'll fix it there, you know, so a few checks with stun and whatnot. But it didn't fix it. So I was like, what is going on here? So long story short, I spent 4 hours trying to figure out what the problem was, and I went through the entire unit AI. I went through the entire finite state manager, and I just couldn't figure out what it was. I started cursing everyone who had ever worked on this system out loud at my screen. I was about to throw bottles around my room. It's like, what is going on here? This makes no sense. And this is like a few hours before we're supposed to get this package, you know, fixed.
Yep.
And so I didn't want to give up. As I was so angry at that point. So I just got a cup of tea, came back, and then 2 hours later I figured out that there's a new piece of code, because I was so tunnel visioning on the unit AI, because I was thoroughly convinced it had to be in there, but it actually turned out to be a new function.
And our connection's
Idle
gone.
animation.
Sorry, the stream just disconnected.
Oh, well, I finished.
I think they lost us. All right, everyone, let us know when we're back. If you even hear that. Oh, now it says I have an excellent connection.
Yeah, it's constantly going on and off. It
All right,
seems.
so I heard like there was some new functionality or code they added that was messing with the idle
Yeah.
animation.
So all in all, it took me almost 6 hours to figure out that there was a new function in the attack code that was manually setting the idle animation. And I double checked. First, I was starting to doubt myself, like maybe I added some new code in the unit AI that caused this issue. But no, there was just a silly piece of code in the attack component, and
So
I
something they
couldn't believe
added
it.
in 0.25 or 2.4 or whatever.
Sorry?
It was something they added in 0.80 that broke it
Yeah,
then.
no, yeah, it was something. Well, because they don't have knockback, so they don't
Yeah.
have that problem. So from their perspective, it's just a new piece of code to get the the whole system to work smoothly. But if you like, I'm adding in something that is basically breaking into the system where you are stunned and you're not able to move at all, and some orders can still run at that point. So
Yeah, people
uh,
are wondering why my connection's so bad. I can't explain it. I think I said at the start of the stream, for like the last month, I haven't had a single like problem with my internet, and then about 2 days ago I've started disconnecting like every 2 hours. Like I was playing a game online last or 2 days ago, and it started disconnect. I don't know why. It's just the internet sucks here. I'm in America, so but I guess to catch some people up because they might not know what's been going on for the last 8 months. Basically, what happened is Zero AD released a new version of their game, and it broke almost everything we'd added into Hyrule Conquest. And then they released another new version several months later after you and Ascaris got started to fix it, which broke what more stuff?
well, it wasn't as bad as A24. A24 was the massive hit,
The
and then
bombshell.
A25 just came on top of that, but it wasn't as bad as A24 was.
The
That's
thing
for
that's
sure.
sad is I know that Stan, like, they intentionally, like, tried to make it so it wouldn't screw around with Hyrule Conquest, and it still broke everything. I think they underestimated how many components you and Ascaris have added. And then, yeah, Ascaris was, like, really mad at all the UI changes they made that broke all of
Oh,
his UI.
I have never heard Askers be that upset about something before. Like I remember he called me. This was a few months ago when he called me while he was still doing all the stuff. Like now he's busy with his study, his education. But before that, and he called me and he was so angry. He was so angry that they changed the UI. And so, well, he said he was planning to get this civilization selection screen back in. For the people who are aware or who know what I'm talking about with the civilization selection screen, that one is gone at the moment because the entire UI code was changed. And but Asker said he was planning to add it back in. Um, yeah, I mean, at this point, like this was the point where I also realized how many little changes we added to the components, and so we already had proper commenting going on for the most part, but now we have also added in little pieces of additional commenting, which relates to okay, this is a piece of Hyrule Conquest code. Some of the components have been fractured into separate components for Hyrule Conquest alone. So whenever something like this happens again, it's easier to port it over. But even with this, it still would be a pretty in-depth process to get it to newer versions. Of course, depending on how much changed, because like I said, A24 had so many core changes to its structure. The way that the templates worked, all of the components were completely overhauled. For example, like the entire damage component was completely removed and made into a new attack helper function.
Yeah.
So, you know, and a lot of our stuff was in those, was or ran through that attacking code. So that was all. Everything had to be redone. Like we couldn't just copy paste it. We had to look at the individual bits that we did, and then we had to port that over into the new system because this is all technical stuff. But anyway, that's why it took so long and why the motivation was so low or so well.
Yeah, around June, I was just like, fuck it, and I went back to the older version of Zero AD, and that's when I added the Sheikah in, because things were not looking good around back in
There,
like May and
well,
June.
there was a time, I don't know, maybe it was June. There was a period where you were growing, or I had the feeling that you were growing frustrated.
Yeah,
Because
I was really upset that the update broke everything, but I went back to 0.23 and I added the Sheikah in, and I was fine with sticking with that version until everything was fixed, but
you were constantly trying to poke either me or Ascaris about, it's like, hey, this is broken, that's broken, this
yeah,
needs to be
because everything
fixed.
was broken.
And I read a lot of it eventually, but I didn't feel like replying because all I was going to say was like, I'm not in the mood to fix it. So there was no point in me telling you that at that time. But to really quickly get back to the knockback, I have checked knockback. I have touched upon other elements of the core structure in knockback once again because I was working on it anyway. And knockback is actually even smoother than it was before. So
It's like
that's
I said, I think this might be the most stable version of Hyrule Conquest to date. I mean, I'm
there were a
sure there's
few
kinks
little
in it, but
there were a few artifacts that I noticed while porting over the melee stuff, and I realized, oh well, now it makes a bit more sense why you get those double animations, or when they get stuck in their recover animation, for example. Or when they start to float. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed sometimes when they would reach the ground and they were in their recover animation, they would already start walking back
I
to their
noticed that when
enemy.
we port. I didn't notice that in older versions. I only noticed that when Ascaris started to. I mean, when Ascaris tried to get your knockback working in the new version, all kinds of crazy things were happening with knockback. It looked like people were being telekinetically like spazzed around and flung around. It was really funny.
I didn't actually see those clips
I
that
have
did he
some.
just send them to you?
What?
Well, I didn't see those clips. Did he send those to you?
No, I posted them in the group chat. I'll show you after the live stream. It was really funny. Like, it was really funny. But yeah, yeah, you and Ascaris finally got everything working, so that's nice. Hopefully, the next version of Zero AD doesn't break that many things.
There's
It
someone in the
gives me
chat
like
asked.
Stellaris flashbacks, like modding for Stellaris.
Well, there's a question for you in there, and there's another question that I can probably answer.
I guess
Something
do we
about
just want to go right to a Q&A, or is there other things you want to talk
Oh,
about
we can
first?
just no. Well, there are plenty of things that we can talk about, but this kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about anyway.
Oh, cool.
One of the
What
questions.
question is it?
Someone asked if there's any words about upcoming stages or maps.
Oh, yeah, we could talk about all the nodes and stuff.
Well, all of the basically
That's related.
all of the maps will have to be redone, and I talked to Rolf about this. The people who like no one over here probably knows who Rolf is, because Odysseus pretty much left. I got a new balancer, and Rolf is going to be doing the balancing. He hasn't gotten the whole Git to work yet because his connection is really terrible at the end of the month, he says. So
Apparently mine is too.
yeah, he has some kind of package where, because he lives in a rural area, and so he has this package deal where every month they get a specific amount of high quality internet for a number of gigabytes download speed or whatever. And after that is gone, you only get the slow speed, basically. So he said he would try again on the first of the month to get that to work. We tried numerous things over a few days, but anyway, that's all trivial stuff. But yeah, the maps are going to be reworked. It's going to be, for those who are familiar with Battle for Middle-earth, the first game, not the second game, not the free building one, but the
Yeah, the
first
first
game.
one. Or
Some
if you haven't played Battle for Middle Earth, like in Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2, it's the same thing.
There's also a great mod for the second game, which is
Edane.
with the Edane mod. Although
Yeah.
it seems Age of the Ring is a very popular mod right now also. But that is still free build. So they held on to the second game style of building. But what we're trying to go for is the first game. So the idea is that we'll see multiple nodes spawn around the map, outposts, also single plots, and that those will provide you resources, or access to resources is probably a better way to phrase it.
Yeah, basically,
Um,
all the maps will have intentional areas where there are resources you could harvest, and there will be a node in like the center of where those resources are.
yeah,
And that's where you build your like expansion. And there's gonna be probably like three different types. There'll be like a small one, like a resource drop off thing, and then there'll be like the civil center, the thing you start with, which is like a medium one, and then I haven't talked with you or anyone about this yet, but I'm thinking castles will actually be like a really big one you can make. What do you think about that idea?
uh, it depends. Are we gonna get walls with that?
Um,
I,
Depends on what
I,
we do with the walls, yeah.
well, the thing is that the current civil centers, I think I'm going to decrease the territory that they can give, yeah, and as a max. So you'll have more incentive to go outward to the other points on the map.
Because
That's
I was
again with resources in mind as well.
I was thinking
And
about your wall idea, and a problem I'm imagining is like with the Deku Scrubs, you know how their bases work, where they can just keep pushing their base out? Like, if walls are preset, how will it work for them?
walls would be, uh, well, in Battle for Middle-earth, it used to be you just had a specific amount of plots you could build, and around the plots you had the walls, so there was no way you could expand beyond that.
Hmm.
And so I'm thinking something akin to that, but it doesn't have to be necessarily that we have walls in like instantly. Like this could be something we can do later, but at least that we limit the space where you can build for
Right.
free
Well, then
building
what's the point of
factions.
territory?
Yeah, it's just how far the territory goes at that point, and
Okay.
Asker's worked that into the other system. Another big thing which you probably haven't heard about, but I have talked about with Rolf about this, and it's a little controversial
Oh
for
boy.
you, that maps that you consider to be a two-player map are actually going to be four-player maps. Stuff like that.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
What? You're not? Oh, last time you were.
Well, my problem with Zero AD right now is if you have like a four-player map, you like in most RTS games, you can like change the number of players on a map. Like if it's an eight-player map, you can just limit it to two players. But in Zero AD, you
Yeah.
can't do that. Like if it's a four-player map, you're stuck with four players on the map at all times.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a thing, but
Well, let me give you an example. Is that I usually make my own maps at this point, or I should probably be a bit more concrete. Is that I take your maps
and then
and
you
then I
edit
just add
them.
in, yeah,
I
I just add
actually
in more
noticed
players.
that. I noticed on the Gerudo Oasis, like your test things you were setting me. I noticed, hey, there's four players.
Yeah, I make it like a 2v2 scenario, and the Faron Woods map, which is also technically two players, I made that into a six-player map. So
I guess what I could do for the meantime is just have, yeah, like multiple copies of the same map with different amounts of players.
and even that map, even the map that I made into a six-player map, even that one, I still see room for nodes and stuff, especially if I limit space where the civil center can build, because there's still a lot of space to build
Yeah.
on the map itself. And
Well, the cool
oh, I
thing
don't
about
really.
nodes is it actually makes designing it makes making maps actually easier because that's a lot. you'll know like the flow of where things will go, unless you're playing as the moblins, because they'll be able to move their stuff anywhere. But
Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure that's actually one of the reasons they decided to use nodes in Battle for Middle Earth, because it actually makes designing maps a lot easier. Because when there's no nodes, like stuff can just be anywhere.
well, yeah, you can direct where the fights are going to
Yeah,
be,
you
more or
can,
less.
and it makes things like set pieces a lot easier to do. Like, because
Yeah,
if you know, okay, there's gonna be a node here, I could set like this giant ruin in the background, like this giant destroyed ruin, or a giant statue like near this node, so players will see, like it makes it easier to actually make set pieces for maps too. If like there's specific nodes that players are always going to gravitate towards, so yeah, like the whole node thing,
I think
I've
it's going to be a great way to stabilize the gameplay because I was showing Rolf because Rolf plays multiplayer and he has played the game numerous times, and I talked to him about a lot of the extra features that you were trying to add to maps, which is they're all cool ideas, but they don't work in a mod where the core gameplay isn't stable.
yeah.
So if you have mad scrubs on these mad scrub trees, or you have these bosses, but the bosses don't do anything. Like you can kill them, but they don't really have an effect. It's kind of an anticlimax, to kill a boss, even if you even get to it.
The bosses
So
are supposed to be more for heroes when we like get all the hero stuff working, like
yeah,
for
so
leveling
a
up
lot
a
of that stuff
hero.
it's all extra detail stuff that we don't really have the luxury to use that right now. And but that's fine. I think that the way that the game, especially with the nodes coming up, I think it's going to be a lot better for the game. So um, there was one other thing I wanted to say, like maybe something even with, because you were talking about minor factions, but is there still an idea of having minor factions on maps and stuff, or is that like
Yeah,
out of the?
yeah,
That is still a thing, okay?
yes.
Because you said you were going to overhaul the minor factions.
Yeah, Ascaris and I think the next thing we're gonna do is add like probably not like all of them, but we're gonna add like 10 or so minor factions into the game that players can pick from once they pick their major faction. And yeah, they'll be on some maps. Like as they are, like right now, there's several maps with minor factions. Like the Gerudo Cliffs have the Zuna, and then the Tokay map has all the four different Tokay tribes fighting each other. What I want is on
No.
that Tokay map, the tropical one with the Tokay. I want all four of those Tokay to constantly be fighting each other. So like you have to move your armies like through this war zone of like Tokay attacking each other.
At
If you
that
want to,
point, I would make it a script, a
yeah,
scripted map
like you did with
where.
the Scorpions
Well, I'm
on
just
the
gonna have
Linear
them.
map, like
I'm just
that.
gonna have them. No, more that you can. That the AI will just play with them, but that doesn't have to be scripted necessarily through the map. That can just be AI itself. But that's, how would you say, that you can ally with them. I mean, that's technically already possible, but I have to make sure that that the whole diplomacy thing actually works at that point. And then I want to incorporate it into the personality system, but that is still a bit off from that. So I can see multiple map designs already coming up
Yeah,
where you
it's
have
gonna be
to
awesome.
where you have to defend against waves of enemies, for example. That would be a pretty easy idea
Yeah,
to work
that's.
out.
I think you and I actually talked about that with the Phantom armors.
Yeah,
Like a map where you're like on a beach with several players and there's just endless waves of Phantom armors coming out of the oceans that you have to defend against. And like the
yeah, but then
waves
you would
keep
have to
getting
still
bigger
make
and
a map.
bigger as time
Yeah.
goes on.
But for the next release, you're going to focus on getting the node system into the maps
Yeah.
and getting the minor factions
Yep.
working.
So I guess we could
Oh.
spitball on nodes and minor factions right now if you want, and I guess people in the chat could
Well,
throw out ideas too, maybe.
well, the another thing that I I think I knew this before, but I might have just completely forgotten about it, was the whole thing when I was looking at the poly count. Remember from all your models?
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. I think I mentioned it on the in the group chat. I was thinking maybe in future versions the default models will actually be the low poly ones, and then the extra add-on will be the high poly ones for people that have like supercomputers. And
Well,
basically flipping it around the way the flipping things around like opposite of how I have it now.
the thing is how it works right now, or what happens for me, and I think it would happen for every player out there, is that if you have shadows on in your graphic settings, so shadows on, and you do not have the low poly patch, and you do not, or you have not limited the variations for the models, which is basically what I'm saying. If you have the default gameplay and you haven't touched it, then chances are your game is going to crash if you play with 6 players in about 20 minutes of gameplay. Your game is guaranteed to crash pretty much. So, and that has to do with the way that the model system, that's all cached and stuff. But if you turn shadows off,
That's a weird fix.
It's fine. No, because I noticed, because Stan said, okay, turn shadows off and check the poly count again. I think the shadows add about 75% additional poly, so it almost doubles.
That's weird. Because I don't
So
even think the shadows in Zero AD like I don't even think they're like, I don't know how they work exactly, but they don't seem like I'm guessing the way they work is that the shadows are a copy of the model, like flattened and outstretched on the ground, maybe? I don't know, it seems like a weird way
well,
to generate
whatever
shadows.
whatever it is, if I personally turn shadows off and I turn on low poly, the new low poly version, it runs. How would I say it runs better. Um, but another thing that someone pointed out on the forums had to do with the ranged attacks, right?
Yeah.
And that
If
projectiles.
if a range attack overkills a unit, it causes lag for a few seconds. And
Well,
obviously
everything.
that builds on itself the more ranged units you have doing that. Which explains the Flood Masters for the Zora causing lots of lag because they overkill and do splash damage too.
A lot of the camera stuff also seems to, the whole camera frustum seems to cause issues. But I'm at
Yeah,
least happy that at least the game, like you can in Hyrule Conquest, you can at least, if you wanted to, you could at least play a 6-player game without it crashing. If you turn off the shadows, you'll probably be fine. Um, so I'm happy that it is possible. And if another thing that you could do is a new option that I hadn't noticed, so I'm pretty sure it's new in A24, A25, and that is I just spoke about it. It's the model appearance randomization. That's the thing what you do with your Hylian units, for example, right? With
yep.
the actor sheets and stuff.
Ordana
You
does
can,
it. The Kokiri I think do it more than anyone. The
yeah,
Kokiri have the most variations for their
yeah.
units.
So the Kokiri do it a lot, and that is actually a thing that caused a lot of crashes
And that was my theory
because
like 2 years ago. I had a theory that the variations were causing some kind of memory leak or something, which I don't know why they would though. Because,
it's just
like,
a
it's.
lot of stuff it tries to save. Like every variation needs to be rendered and needs to be cached into the. At least that's from my understanding,
I guess,
and so
but
that adds up.
I mean, I don't, I don't, obviously, I don't understand the intricacies of how it works, but I feel like the variation, it's like just a line of text in the actor
Uh,
file. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
okay, but it has to re-render that variation
I
that new seed,
guess.
and so this option will actually help for those who have issues with crashes due to memory loss or memory overload or whatever. That those variations were a definite cause of crashes, and you can turn those off in the option menu now. So like I still play with them on, there is 3 nodes or the 3 options. You have limited. I don't know exactly what that means. Limited there's probably some kind of hard-coded limit somewhere that you can only have 5 variations of every unit or something. So I don't know what the exact limit is, but you can just leave them completely turned on. You can limit them, or you can just turn them off completely,
That's
which
cool.
would indicate that you would only have a single variation of every unit in the game. But that does help with memory issues. So that is for the people who would like to know. Like
With
maybe we even should.
toasters.
Maybe we should actually put this. Like seriously, we should put this into a
A
README or
video.
description. No, well, either that or probably a description on the ModDB when you post this. That you say,
Yeah.
okay, if you want to play with multiple players or increase your performance, turn this, and this off, and download the low poly patch and activate it. So
Yeah, for future versions though, I'm thinking the default release will have the low poly models, and then the high poly ones will be a separate download. Basically, there'd be the high poly patch instead of the low poly patch.
yeah.
Which at least until they add LODs into Zero AD, which that's basically the thing I want the most, because then
Oh, I asked Stan it. I asked Stan about it, and
I was there. I remember.
yeah,
They're like,
for
it's
years.
not working.
No, for years we asked about it since the very beginning. We asked about it, and Stan said that he had been talking with a few other programmers about incorporating LODs, and there was a rudimentary system of LOD was in the mod or in the engine, but it wasn't sophisticated enough that Stan considered it, good enough to actually add it into the next release. So then he said, okay, we moved it to next release. But as it stands now, it seems, if I got his words correctly, then I don't think we should be able to expect LODs for
Yep.
the next release either.
I was
Maybe
there.
not for the next one. Maybe not for the one after that either, because there's some kind of inherent problem with LODs, or the way that they want LODs to be incorporated, and they cannot get that to work right now. Or
That's a
maybe they.
shame. That's kind of weird though,
Oh,
because like LODs are a standard in like every game, especially an RTS game. I don't know, I'm a little confused why there's no level of detail. Like I don't know, but I guess I just didn't see it as a priority. But it's like one of the first things I like. Even if I wasn't doing an RTS, like just any game, LODs like. I don't know. Anyway, that's my little tiny rant about LODs. Oh, did I lose you, EXO? Did you disconnect
no,
or?
no.
Oh,
I'm just thinking. Like we're complaining a lot about um, little things here and there, but
yeah. I really don't want to
the
shit on
truth.
Zero AD. It's a great engine. Like
I
I
mean,
wouldn't be
no, I
using it
mean,
if it wasn't great. There's just like a few weird little oversights that I find kind of strange. Like LODs being the biggest one. Like like I was saying earlier, like it's really weird that you can't change the play. Like if you have like a 4-player map, you can't like get rid of 2 players in the menu, so that's only 2 players. Like every single RTS game since like 1996. Like there's just a few like really weird small oversights that make me scratch my head, I guess. But to be fair, it is a game. It's an engine they're making for free in their free time for like the last 20 years. So I can't really complain, I guess.
I mean, we said it at the very beginning, but this is the most stable version of Hyrule Conquest.
Yeah,
So, since, or especially in comparison to previous release.
I'm
So
excited for the next version. So
yeah, I was probably the next thing I'll do is the Gerudo balancing, and then I was considering making the Moblin or the Ordana AI. I might still do the Moblins first, actually, but I was also considering doing the Gorons just and actually incorporate that new
Yeah,
than
I
the
would
upgrade
I
system.
would be careful about the moblins because they are gonna have a few changes when I get around to them. If you go ahead and do moblin AI, I might break it sometime in the next few months. And like I said, Labrina is gonna get tweaked, and then the Goma I need to add the eggs back in. So yeah, I personally I would do either the Gorons or Ordana's AI first because I'm not gonna change either of those two factions, and I can't imagine how I would change them right now. um, the Zora are gonna change, but I promised you I would leave the Zora alone for the time being because he just did their AI.
Yeah.
I don't
No, I
want to
think the
break your
Moblin.
brand new Zora AI that you just did.
I'm probably going to do the Moblins first then. Still, even if mentioned before that there were going to be a few minor changes, but they weren't really going to. You mentioned them. They're probably not going to impact the AI.
Yeah,
So I
the
think
Zora's
that's fine.
mostly with the Zora it's mostly I the way I want to implement their aqueducts. They'll need supportive plots basically for your AI.
Yeah, yeah. So I am going to probably if I do the Moblin AI, I'll do it then, and then after the Moblins, I'll do the Gorons, and then I'll have to incorporate the new system.
Just
So
just don't be upset if sometime in the next 3 months, like say you do the Moblin AI, don't be surprised if I break it.
what are you gonna do to? Well, the things you did mention, they shouldn't break the
Okay,
Moblin
I
AI.
think the Moblins.
So
You know, have you tried out the Stalfos yet? I don't even know if you played as the new Stalfos.
oh yeah, I did look at their new buildings, all their units, but I haven't touched
But
them or anything.
okay, the important thing is you know how the Stalfos like they don't start on the civil center node. They start at like the nearest ruin off to
Yeah,
the side. I think the
that's
Moblins will be like
numbers.
that where they kind of start off to the side.
Okay, well they'll still have a civil center, right? So
They'll have a totem.
yeah, okay.
They can make a
Well, that
civil
will be their civil
center if
center.
they capture the node. But I don't think they're gonna start with one. I think they'll start with like just a random totem, and then
Okay,
like
well
a drop off kind of thing where they can drop resources off.
that might change a few things, but I don't think it will be that detrimental.
Okay,
So
watch I'm gonna completely fuck up your Moblin AI when I get around to that. I'm sorry.
so yeah, what's next on the list? I mean,
Those are
yeah,
I think the nodes and minor factions. I think those are really the two things I'll be focused on for the next version. The next actual faction I'm gonna work on is the River Zora, but that's probably a ways off because yeah, I want to do the minor faction stuff first. I That's an idea I wanted in the game for since the start, and Ascaris was like, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to make it so you can select them." I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds great." I think the only thing I probably need to talk to Ascaris about this is like, say you pick your faction and then you pick your two or three minor factions. Like, when the match starts, do you like start out with like an additional civil center, or do you just start out with workers, or is it you can train the workers from your starting? I need to figure out like how you can make the minor faction stuff once the game starts? Or is it like Age of Empires 3 where you have to build an embassy and then the embassy lets you train the minor faction stuff? Like, I need to figure that out. Um,
I still haven't really gotten a grip on how you want to incorporate the new minor factions. I just received some some minor stuff, so
no pun intended.
yeah, no, it wasn't even a pun intended. No, but that they add a few units to your roster and a few techs, and
Yes.
that's pretty much it.
I think the idea with minor factions is you pick them to fill in like weaknesses or gaps in your faction's own roster. I think I gave you the example, like say you're playing as a faction that like has no mages at all. You have like no magic attacks, no defense against magic, so I'm gonna pick the Wizrobes. and then they have a few mages that you can add to your army,
Yeah.
and techs that give you some kind of defense against other mages. So yeah, and you'll be able to increase or decrease in the options menu. You can increase or decrease the number of minor factions you can pick. You can even set it to 0 if you want none, or I don't know what the max limit will be. I feel like 6 is probably way too much, so probably no more than 3. The default will probably be 2. But
Yeah, for me, minor factions sound like a very cool idea to have on maps where you can ally or just take over minor factions like we had in the beginning.
Yep.
But back then it didn't really work because the entire game still didn't really work.
Yeah, that's back when we used the old capture system.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Which
I'm so glad.
I remember you and I had an old nostalgic remembrance of that the other day. Fucking.
I really hate the capture system. I think the capture system in 0D can work for a few things, which can be very beneficial. But the way that they do it, where you can both destroy and capture every building in the game, I really hate that.
It completely
so I'm really
changed
glad
how
we
the
got rid of it.
Stalfos worked. Like originally, the Stalfos were gonna be completely reliant on the old capture system. Well, I guess it's not old because it's still in 0AD, but yeah, we got rid of it in Hyrule Conquest a few versions ago. But yeah, the Stalfos were gonna. I like how the Stalfos turned out now, where they have to like dig up ruins and stuff. I think that's better. Well, I mean they have to capture ruins, so I guess they're still using the Stalfos are still using the capture thing technically, kind of.
We're using the our custom capture circles for nodes.
Yeah.
So
I guess that the reason the capture thing works better in 0AD is because like if you capture an enemy barracks in 0AD, you can still make your own units from it, whereas in Hyrule Conquest you can't, because like the factions are all so different from each other.
Yeah.
It's like it wouldn't really make sense if like the Goma capture like a Zora barracks. Like the Goma wouldn't train like Zora soldiers, and they wouldn't train Goma from. So the building's basically just useless. It's basically just a really quick way to get rid of a building instead of attacking it, and so yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Is there any particular thing you want to talk about now, or should I go on to the Q&A?
Well, I was thinking just now about the minor factions.
All right.
Maybe an idea I have in mind, or some idea for now, like one option you could have instead of using the inherent diplomacy system for now, where you could have the well, you kind of what you did with the ruins actually on the maps, where they don't have a resistance component, but that you can still capture them.
Yeah, like in Age of Empires 3.
Yeah, and try to do that for some of the minor factions on maps. And then if you capture their main building, I'll flip off an AI script where they will start to fight for you, and then we'll start to recruit units and stuff, and then attack the enemy, which is already how the AI does it right now, right? So, but I'll just have to make sure that those minor AI or minor factions don't try to run operations that regular factions would have.
If I remember right, in Age of Empires 3, what you would do to get a minor faction is you'd go to like their little base, and I think you had to build like an embassy right next to it, and then like captured it, I think, and then you can make the minor factions units. There's different games that have gone about it in different ways. The way you're suggesting is actually how it was done in Rise of Legends, where you just a bunch of units are near the minor faction's base, and then it just captures it slowly, and then you can make their stuff. Well, Stellaris is a lot more detailed and way too complicated for Hyrule Conquest, how they go about it. But anyway.
To go on a bit of a segue to a completely different topic.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from it recently, but something that did get Asker's hopes up, and mine as well, is that there is a modification out there for A25, I believe, that allows allows an overworld map, like back from God of War. back from Total War style, where you actually
a
have an open world
turn-based
map.
overworld map. Yeah, you can go
with regions
download
on
it. I mean, it's bare bones, but it freaking works, and I'm like, this is cool. That'll probably get Ascaris happy.
That is something that is still off in the future, because I don't know what would be your list. Would it be campaigns first, or would it be an overworld map first?
I want to get all the factions into the game, and then I actually think the overworld thing would come before all the campaign missions, because the campaign missions probably will also use the overworld thing too, to some degree.
Oh, okay.
So I think the free-form overworld campaign map probably would be done first.
Yeah.
Even it's funny. The thing I want to do most is going to be like one of the last things I'll get to work on, which I want to do like the story missions like more than anything else. But I need to go about it the proper way. I need to get all the stuff in the game first, like all the actual gameplay stuff, all the factions, all of their units, all the ways they work, all the gameplay features. That all needs to be done first before I add the fluff. Like, yeah.
Well, I don't know how much I'm gonna still be working on Hyrule Conquest in the upcoming months. I'll be starting my new job
tomorrow,
this Monday.
Right? Oh, the day after
Monday.
tomorrow. Yeah, the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll be probably pretty busy with that, especially for November, December, and from then we'll have to see. So I'm probably gonna be as busy as Ascaris, but I don't know how much time I'll have left to work on Hyrule Conquest.
I'll just work on the node stuff, which I'm pretty sure I can do on my own. So, as long as 080 doesn't release 26 and it breaks everything, I think I'll survive without you two for several months, and then I can model all of the minor faction stuff over the next several months, and then hopefully by the time I'm done with that, Ascaris will he'll be like, I'll add the menu selector for the minor factions. We'll get that working. So I mean, I hopefully I'm not wrong, but I foresee smoothness over the next few months.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, as long
it seems like that is the direction we're heading to right now. And then what is going to be in the next? We have not talked about this at all. What is going to be in the next release? Is it just going to be minor factions and
yes, and the
node system?
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm going to try and add in the River Zora. I'm really excited to work on them too.
Well, hopefully within that minor faction release, with the new node system, there will be some additional balancing done by Rolf, and how likely some balancing for earlier factions, and also a new AI factions.
In terms of like new components and gameplay features, I think the only one we plan on adding left to do is hero abilities. Like you got stealthen, you got knockback, you got. I'm trying to think of other like component-based gameplay features that need to be added still, and I think hero abilities are the only ones left. Am I forgetting one? I'm trying to remember.
I mean, there's a ton of components, but
I can actually think of one, but it's really low priority. With packing and unpacking buildings.
We still have a list of things.
Oh yeah, let me go look at the Git list.
There was one where you wanted to change from melee to ranged. I don't know if that is still a thing.
Ascaris is not Ascaris. I actually think it was Odysseus that might have come up with it. The fear and terror, like morale, like in Battle for Middle Earth, when units would get scared when like a giant creature started to attack them. I think that was Odysseus. Yeah, that was Odysseus's idea.
Combat, we wanted to touch upon combat, or I wanted to touch upon combat. I don't know when that will happen.
Oh yeah, deflecting projectile. Okay, so yeah, there's still a few Oh wait, melee splash attacks work now, right? I need to
yeah.
let me close that issue. That's still open.
Corpse interaction.
Oh yeah,
something
duh.
like
Yeah. Like one of the most important things for the Stelphos actually doesn't work. Yeah, that I forgot about that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, there's still a lot of gameplay things that need to be added. I knew I forgot something.
All the only really large system left is the ability system. I
Yeah,
think.
we should probably just save
Maybe
that for
combat.
last.
I would say combat. If I ever touch upon the combat system again, it would probably also be a pretty in-depth thing again, just like with the battalions. It was also a pretty large system I had to work on.
Let me close the stealth
But
issue since you got that working.
yeah, I don't think I'll be doing the whole combat shenanigans for a while. I'll be focusing on other things that I mentioned before in the stream.
Nice.
So,
Alrighty, well, is there anything else you want to talk about, or should I just do a Q&A for a little while, and then we could probably end the stream in like 20 minutes or until, I mean, if there's like only 5 questions, it could be less than 20 minutes.
well,
I feel like I've talked about everything I want to talk about, but what about you?
Is it how do you say? Are you planning on restarting the stream maybe with Deox, or are you're just not gonna do it at all?
Yeah, Deox isn't gonna be here for a while, so I don't think he'll make it for the stream. But I think I'm just gonna talk to him after the live stream whenever he gets here.
Okay, no,
because I won't be able to stream in about 2 hours. Which is why I did it earlier today, and probably if we do streams on Saturdays, I'll be doing them earlier because I have a neighbor that basically like plays heavy metal music downstairs every Saturday between 3 to 8, and it's so loud that it'd probably ruin the live stream, or even if you guys couldn't hear it, it would distract me so much that I wouldn't be able to focus. So I'll probably talk to him in a few hours because there's a lot of stuff I need to talk to him about. But I don't unless he shows up in like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't think he's gonna make it to the live stream this time. Maybe next Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Then we can just do a Q&A.
Yeah, there's a lot of quote unquote behind the scenes stuff I need to talk about with Deox, but I don't think there's actually any stuff him and I are really ready to talk about live that I can think of now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's stuck somewhere right now. He's probably not gonna make it. Oh well. But all right then. I guess everyone in the chat. I guess if you want to ask questions, now is the chance. I'll probably be around for like 10 minutes, or if you have questions to ask EXO too, like. So yeah, I already got a question. So Luke Adelhawk asks, popped in late, when are we going to be able to potentially expect updates for factions that are getting significant lore changes, mostly thinking the Goma? Well, I was talking about the Goma earlier. Their eggs really need to be added back into the engine, so I'll probably be messing with the Goma pretty soon to get their eggs back in. Labrina's getting changed a little bit. I don't really like the way Labrina works with how their buildings, like, because at the moment Labrina doesn't have the phases. Like, in order to get the higher parts of their tech tree, you individually upgrade their buildings, and I think it's a little too tedious, so I'm probably gonna change that a bit. Otherwise, I don't think any of the factions that are in the game are getting any really like crazy changes. Those are really the only 2 I can think of off the top of my head. Everything's pretty much staying the same. The Zora bases are going to work differently in the future because of their aqueducts, but that was something that's been planned for years. It's not like a new change. Hopefully that answers that. Alright, how will the node system affect map size, territory, building, etc.? I don't think it'll really affect the size of the maps that much. The nodes will generate territory around them where you build your buildings. So that's how it'll affect territory. What I'm thinking at the moment is the purpose territory will really end up serving is it's how you replenish your battalions when they've lost units. Like
Oh
if
wait, yeah, the battalion things. I completely
what?
forgot about those.
Now it's your turn to forget about something.
No, because we wanted banner carriers and stuff and
Yep.
healers and stuff to be added to battalions.
Yep.
No, but there's one thing where you're wrong, Neff, because the map sizes are potentially going to change.
How so? Like
Well, if you're gonna, unless you want to make 2 players maps into a 4-player map, but otherwise the map size will have to be decreased.
decreased?
Yeah, the map size, because map size is a big problem when it comes to performance.
I mean,
And we
that
don't need
makes
that many
sense,
larger
but-
maps. Sorry.
I'm personally fine with smaller maps, but at the moment, the really tiny map sizes don't work because of how the buildings work. But I don't know. I'll have to actually make a map with nodes to kind of get a feeling for.
A Leviathan of Faldoon is a 2-player map that could
Yeah.
easily be like a 7 or a 6-player map. Like easy.
Really? I feel like
Yes,
it could maybe
easy.
be like a 6-player map, but I don't know, 7.
Farron Woods, I made it into a 6-player map. That's about the extent that I could push Farron Woods.
All right.
6-player
Well,
map.
I'll take your word for it then. But I'll get a better idea when I actually like set up a map with nodes, and I'm like, okay, I can. This is too big or too small, like, because yeah.
Also,
go on.
trees.
Less
Trees
trees.
are a problem. Few trees, yes.
Well, yeah. Have you just? Well, I disabled it on my own. I disabled the whole wind system in 0AD. That was giving me tons of performance issues because trees used to like sway around in the wind and stuff via their materials, which funnily enough, that's actually how it works in Unreal also. But I got rid of that and it like I have like no performance issues on my end, like unless there's like hundreds and hundreds of units on at once. Like the big maps with all my high poly models don't give me any issues. The only thing that ever gave me issues was the tree swaying in the wind. That caused my frame rate to tank.
Which
I got
one
rid
is
of
that?
that.
Which option? Which option is
It's
that?
in their actor. It's in the actor files. You have to give them a certain material. But I guess I could make even lower poly trees then. Or have less. If I can actually make the map smaller though, that will help. I feel like the tar map. I don't think I could make any smaller though. Have you tried playing on the tar map?
The tar map is terrible.
You mean terrible for performance or the actual design?
No, the performance.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of detail in that map. So I'm not surprised that the performance is not optimal on that map, but that's my favorite map in the game. Like the design of it.
Oh, I really like. Even though I have never played on the map, or have the AI played on the map because the minor faction doesn't work there, but the tropical island one with the Tokay.
Yeah, I like that map a lot too.
But someone asked a question about the Phantom Army. I believe we discussed that we would maybe, or you were saying, okay, maybe we'll put in the Phantom Army for some kind of PvE thing.
Yep.
Right, where you have waves of enemies.
Like the Horde mode and Halo Wars.
Yeah, but all the other Crisis factions, I believe you said we might not get to them. Like we'll not do them, the Phantom Army.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for like the silent ones to function like that when I think about that. I'll have to think about it, but the Phantom Army for sure, just like a huge, just endless waves of Phantom armors coming out of the ocean, I think would be pretty cool. I'm already picturing the map. It's like on a coastline, and then just all the Phantom armors are slowly like moving. Like you can see them like under the water, just like slowly moving towards the land, coming down towards your base. I think that'll be pretty cool. From the north.
Yeah.
And we could have it be like up to 4 players, maybe like 4 players at the bottom of the map, like working against like these endless waves of the Phantom armors. I think that'll be really cool.
But would you design a map for it where you have maybe a fortress-esque thing?
Yeah.
And then I would do it mostly just node-wise, actually, if you were gonna make a map like that.
Yeah.
Actually, with the new, we haven't even really spoken about the new garrison system, but I'm sure people
Oh
will
yeah,
find
we
out
forgot to talk about. We'll let that be a surprise when they download the new version.
It's only implemented for
The Highlands and
extensively
Gerudo.
for the Gerudo, for the Zora, and for the
Highlands.
Hylians. Yeah.
I did add it to the wagon, and also
Oh yeah.
Organa and Labrina's wagon. But yeah, I need to add it to all the buildings for the other factions. There's a lot of really small things that I should probably work on over the next two. I'm probably gonna take a break for a week or two. I'm like burned out.
Well, it's likely with regard to the Crisis factions. I only think the Phantom Army would be put in. There are ideas to have stuff like relics on maps, where you can capture relics, or where you have to. That's
Oh
when the
yeah,
bosses will actually come
I
in. Where
forgot
we're
all
talking
about
about.
I forgot about relics. I have a whole list of them and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that would only come into play once the core gameplay is stable. Then you were to start in events like map events or bosses and stuff and relics, But
Yeah,
that's still far off. So, but that was with relation to the Crisis faction question. I think at that point they would come more into play. It's likely that we won't see the Crisis factions for a while, though.
yeah. I mean, I
Um,
do have the Phantom Armors modeled already. I guess I could put their models in the
yeah,
game.
okay. If we're to see something
Just
in
for
the
people who want to make their own maps, I guess, with just huge armies of Phantom Armors.
If there's one thing we would see in the upcoming year, it might be a map where you have to fight off waves of phantom armors. Um, that is the only thing likely to see in the upcoming year or upcoming years.
I mean, another idea I had was like a giant Skulltula infestation. I think I actually talked to you about that one too. Or just
Oh yeah,
like just endless waves of Skulltulas. Like they start out with the tiny ones, and then after like 45 minutes, there's just like giant Skulltulas.
there
So
is actually
there's a few different things that could be done.
there's actually another system I was thinking of implementing in the upcoming year, which is an experience system.
Yeah.
Which is separate from the current one where it upgrades your actors and stuff and your templates, and that would just be it would just increase the stats. It's kind of again like from Battlefield Middle Earth where your battalions would rank up, right? And then they
Yeah.
would gain a banner carrier and stuff,
Yep.
and other well.
Let's see, another question. Which two main factions are up next? I've heard that the Zola might be one of them. You are correct. The River Zora definitely will be the next one I work on next. After that, I was thinking either the Guardians or the Rito. I know EXO really wants the Guardians. I really want the
Well, the
Rito
Guardians would be
because the
cool.
Rito are my favorite, probably.
Well, at this point, new factions means more work again for me. So,
Only if they have like new
but
features.
but if you do implement the Guardians, are they gonna have any new features, or how are they going to work exactly?
At the moment, the Guardians are probably gonna play like if anyone's played Supreme Commander, you might have an idea of how the Guardians will work. But you've probably never played Supreme Commander, have you,
I
EXO?
haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay. So in Supreme Commander, it's a really really cool RTS game, but you start out with basically instead of starting out with like a base, you start out with the Supreme Commander, which is like this really giant powerful unit that builds all the buildings and stuff,
Okay.
and it can move around, and you can upgrade this. Like I should make a correction. When you start out, the Supreme Commander actually isn't that powerful, but as the match goes on, he gets upgraded. And then if the match goes on long enough, your Supreme Commander is basically like this really powerful like Titan unit that can blow up entire armies and stuff. So basically the Guardians will start out with, I guess they're Titan, but it's like kind of weak, and then it like becomes more powerful as you upgrade it.
Okay, so it's very niche in that it's very unique.
Yeah, so yeah, they basically start out with a giant like walker that builds their stuff slowly but surely. Their units will be able to change like the way they function on the fly. So, like, say you have a guardian with, like, a sword arm. And, you know, at will, you can pay resources, and then its sword arm will, like, change into, like, a ranged attack. So, they can transform the function of their units, like, on the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't be free. Like, it'll probably cost, like, there'll be a resource cost, so they can't, like, just constantly do it back, like, constantly switching back and forth between different abilities, but... So, yeah, at the moment, I mean, it could change, but at the moment, I'm thinking the Guardians will kind of be like Supreme Commander, which is one of my favorite games, like, ever. Although I'm probably in the minority where I actually think Supreme Commander 2 is better than the first one. People are probably going to at me for saying that. A lot of people hate Supreme Commander 2. I think it's actually a lot better than the first one. But, alright. Let me go back to some more questions. See, so what's with the whole shtick with the new Sulcaris model? Well, it's just a new Sulcaris model. I wanted to update her model. Hopefully that answers that. See, what about the Oka? What will happen to them? The Oka got abstracted. I know it's kind of a tease of an answer, but... I'll have more to say about the Oka later. Let's see if there's any other questions that I missed. Let's see. What about Dark Link and the Fierce Deity? I have some ideas for Dark Link. I think he's gonna be tied to a hero ability. Kind of keep it under wraps as to what hero will summon Dark Links, but there's plans for Dark Link. Fierce Deity, I'm not 100% sure yet. Originally, the Fierce Deity was going to be the Titan for Clocktown, but I actually think the Fierce Deity might be one of Link's abilities, like his ultimate ability or something. I haven't decided yet. Alright. Keep the questions rolling. I'll answer a few more, and then I'll probably get some lunch, because I'm getting pretty hungry. If there are any more questions. If no one has questions, then... See, Exo, do you have any questions?
No, not anymore.
Yeah. I'm pretty much out of things to talk about, so I'll wait for some questions, and otherwise we'll wrap this up. What about the other Poe sisters? I know Meg's a stealthless hero, but are the others in minor factions? I actually think Meg will be able to summon her sisters as one of her abilities when we add hero abilities into the game. There's actually going to be a few heroes like that. Like, right now, one of the Kokiri heroes is one of the Know-It-All brothers. I think as he gains levels, like, one of his brothers will keep showing up until there's 4 of them, and he's like a battalion of, like, 4 heroes running around. I think there's going to be a few heroes like that, and Meg and her sisters are going to be one of them, where her sisters she summons them. Which minor factions are going to be in the next release? I haven't decided which ones exactly yet, but I'm probably going to do about 10 of them. So, I think there's 3 in the game right now. There's the Tokay, the Zuna, Lon Lon Ranch. There might be one more I'm forgetting that's already in the game. But I'm probably going to add the Sabrosians. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm probably going to add the Sabrosians. Let me bring up the list, actually. Let me see which ones I want to add next. Let me bring up all the minor factions. Where is that thingy with the list? Okay, here's the list. So yeah, the Sabrosians I'll probably add in next. Probably the Labranagorons, which I have their models done. I just need to put them in the engine. So yeah, they're a pretty good candidate. Maybe Calatia and Arcadia, because I really like Arcadia with their crossbows that shoot light arrows. So yeah, I'll probably add Arcadia. Gerudo Pirates probably. Maybe the Storm Zora. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but probably at least some of the ones I just named. Codeman, where's Sarya's kidney belt? Well, she's not on an adventure where she needs to carry a bunch of stuff, so... Let's see, what other questions have I missed? See, are hero abilities and levels planned to be added anytime soon, or are they on the back burner? That's probably up to EXO. My mindset, hero abilities are kind of low priority, but if EXO wants to add them in, he'll go ahead and do it. EXO pretty much does what he wants to do. He's kind of like, he comes and goes with the wind. And he might not even be here right now. He might have already left.
No, I'm still here. I'll probably leave soon.
Yeah.
Hero abilities is actually something Asker's wanted to do, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, if Asker's, I guess it'll depend on when he wants to do them. My mindset is they're low priority right now.
Levels are kind of tying into the abilities. But again, I think that will probably become inherent with the experience system I will add in.
Cool.
So it might be where in the code I'll just have it be a level up. Or for the heroes it would be a level up, right? And for the units it would just be a stat increase. I guess for the heroes it would also be a stat increase, but then the heroes will also receive abilities, whereas units wouldn't. So
I'm gonna try my best to recreate the way heroes worked in Warcraft 3. Which, to this day, I'm shocked that, like, no RTS has, like, directly copied the hero system in Warcraft 3, considering there was, like, a huge glut of RTS games in the mid-2000s that clearly were trying to rip off Warcraft 3. Like, they never, like, borrowed the best hero system I've ever seen in an RTS. So yeah, heroes, it'll be like in Warcraft 3 where there's 10 levels, they can level up 10 levels. They all have like 4 abilities. And they have like 3 normal abilities that can all be leveled up, and then they have like an ultimate ability when they get to their max level or whatever that's like super powerful, and then their abilities, they'll have like a passive ability that's an aura like in Warcraft 3, and then they'll have like a target ability, and Just play Warcraft 3, and that's how the heroes in Hyrule Conquest will work. I don't need to describe it. Let's see. I'm seeing some more questions. How many factions do you want in the game? I think there'll be around 30 when they're all added in. I think there's 14 in the game right now. Actually, it might be less than 30. Let me look at my list. So, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20. So yeah, there'll probably be around 30 factions in the game. Actually, yeah, I think there's 15 right now. So yeah, we're literally halfway through the factions now that the Stalfos are out. So yeah, it'll probably be 30 playable factions, and then I think there's like, 40 minor factions I have on the list. There's a lot of minor factions that you'll be able to pick from. But the minor factions are so small, like they're not even like, they're like, I think like 5 units, so they're only the quarter a size of a playable faction. Someone asks when the story will be finished. Probably in like 50 years. A really long time. There's a lot of work that needs to be done before I like start animating all the cinematics and doing all the missions and stuff. Okay, I actually think I missed some questions. Let's see, what is your idea for the Zonai? Are they going to be a separate factions or a part of the Dark Interlopers? My idea for the Zonai is probably what actually Nintendo intended for them. Like, if you know anything about like what their name means and stuff, they're purposely supposed to not be known. They're very intentionally supposed to be something you don't know anything about. And I'll probably stick with that, but I don't know. I've had several different possible ideas for what the Zonai might be. But at the moment, they're gonna be something from the past that like there's no way anyone in Hyrule could get information about. So they're kind of just like this unknown thing from the past that's just cut off from the world. Anyway, let's see. What about Aghanim? I have plans for Aghanim, but I kind of want to keep Aghanim under wraps. He'll definitely be a hero unit at some point. I can say that much. Let's see. What other questions are there? See, I saw the person asking about how many factions will be in the game. Let's see. You said one time you want to change the Titan for the Goma. My question is very simple. Why? Lore reasons. That's actually something I'm really hoping to talk to Deox about today whenever he gets on. There's a lot of stuff I need to run by Deox because I haven't talked to him in almost a month, and the last thing him and I were talking about was stuff related to the Goma and the Kokiri. So hopefully I'll have a better answer to that question after today, but it's mostly lore reasons I want to change the Goma Titan. But it might not. It honestly might not change. I have to finalize that with Deox. But anyway, let's see. Will Icona or Cobble be separate or one faction? At the moment, they actually The plan, there's several possible things with Icona and the Cobble right now. Because like a month or two ago, I was looking through Icona and the Cobble, and I'm like, there's no fucking way I can make the Cobble like an entire faction, and even Icona is a bit of a stretch. So my idea at the moment is that Icona, Cobble, and the Garo will either be combined into like a playable faction, or all three of them will be minor factions. I haven't decided yet, but a lot of people really like Icona, so I'll probably combine them into one faction, because there's a lot of similarities between Icona and the Cobble. Like thematically, they're basically the same thing. In Majora's Mask and Phantom Hourglass, like there's a lot of similarities between them. So those are two possibilities. Let's see. If you remember the old faction list that was on DeviantArt, what factions are completely gone? The Ocean Blins are getting merged with the Moblins, and they're basically going to be the Moblins Navy. So the Ocean Blins are a faction that's just completely gone from the old list that you're talking about. Most of the Termina factions are minor factions, so they're... I guess completely gone's the wrong word to use. It's more like they've either been merged with other factions or they become minor factions. Like the Yiga got merged with the Sheikah. Like the Yiga were originally going to be like their own faction, and then I'm like, there's not really enough here for an entire faction. They should just be one of the Sheikah tribes. So a lot of the Termina factions are probably going to be minor factions. The Perella are getting merged back into the River Zora, so it's kind of funny. Originally, the Perella and the River Zora were one faction, and then I split them in two, and now I'm like, I'm gonna merge them back together. So hopefully that answers the question. Oh, the question includes minor factions. I think the only one I'm completely and utterly getting rid of in the game is the Huskus, because the Huskus were like an original thing I kind of like came up with, and I kind of want to use them in my own thing and not like a Zelda thing. So I think the Huskus are the only thing that's just completely utterly gone from Hyrule Conquest. Everything else is still in, just probably changing the way it's in the game. Let's see, involving the Kingdom of Icona, are they going to look like the Style Child or something new? They'll probably still have units that look like Style Children, like in Majora's Mask. I mean, they'll probably have some new things. I have a rough roster of what Icona's... Like, I have their minor faction roster done. I have, like, a rough roster for Icona if they're a playable faction. There's still a few gaps missing, because I've had to really stretch the ideas thin to fill out an entire roster for them. But yeah, they'll probably have units that look like Style Children. Let's see. So the Tweely OC stuff is still, yeah, the Tweely stuff's all there. Like, I haven't gotten rid of the Tweely stuff. That's honestly, the Tweely is the stuff I want to do the most, and yet it's like the last thing I'll probably work on for this game. I have a lot of really, really cool ideas for the Tweely stuff. The Tweely have basically just been my favorite Zelda thing ever since I played Twilight Princess. They're so cool. Let's see, someone asked, or I guess not really a question, but someone said, also, I remember hearing you wanted to completely axe the Locomo. Yeah, the Locomo are kind of dumb. They're probably still going to be there in some way, they're not going to be a faction. They're not going to be a playable faction. Let's see, is Malladus still a Moblin, or is he a demon now? Either way, is he going to be merged into the Moblins or another faction since Ocean Blins are gone? Actually, that is something Deox and I probably could live stream about, is the whole cosmology of Nephi Canon's Hyrule, because that's kind of sort of almost done. That's related to the Malladus question. Malladus is he's kind of a deity, sort of. And I think my internet's actually dying now, so great timing. But Malladus is something that the Moblins are connected to, and the Lionels also. I'm probably not going to say too much, but definitely one day, sometime in the future, Deox and I will do a live stream where that will involve Malladus and a bunch of other deities and stuff in Nephi Canon. So I guess stay tuned for that. So, let's see, what is the next faction? Yeah, the Zolas. Someone already answered. How much is the story going to change? Probably quite a bit, actually. It's kind of hard for me to articulate. It's like it's kind of the same story, just like redone, like hopefully better. Trying to think of an example of something else that's been like that. I guess like, the John Carpenter's The Thing. It's basically the same movie as the one from the 1950s, but it's just like done a little better. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do. Let's see, what are plans for Volvagians? Are they getting put into the Lizalfoss or their own minor faction? Yeah, the Volvagians are not a major faction. They're like you said, they're either gonna become part of the Lizalfoss or they're gonna be a minor faction. I haven't decided yet. If they do become part of the Lizalfoss, then one of their heroes will probably be, Volvagia. Haven't decided yet. I'm actually kind of waiting to see if they add any new Lizalfoss stuff in Nintendo canon in the next year or so before I mess with the Lizalfoss. See, are you still keeping the genealogy of the Hylian royal family? Yes, but it's even bigger now than it was a year ago. The royal family's even bigger now than it was. So, yeah. Will there be a campaign map? Yes, there will be. Ooh, lots of good questions this time. See, any ideas for Skeldritch as a boss for a map? Or as a second Titan unit? I think the Skeldritch could easily be a boss for a map. I don't think it's going to be a Titan for the Stalfos, though. I'm really happy with the Stal Lord. It could be a Titan, or it could be like a... I guess I could give it to the Cobble or Icona, like, as just one of their units, like a late game unit. I don't know, I'll have to think about that, but it could be any one of those. Is Majora still going to laugh at Vadi as he's about to die? I mean, Majora laughs at everything, so I guess. Majora laughs at just about everything. See, what about the Order of the Wizrobe? Are they still in? Yeah, the Wizrobe are going to be a minor faction. So they're still in, but they're a minor faction that you can pick. Actually, they'll probably definitely be one of the minor factions I add in the next version. So yeah, that list I said earlier of minor factions, the Wizrobe will probably definitely be one of the ones I'm adding in. Can you eat a sage medallion? Yes, Codebit, you can't eat a sage medallion in the same way you can take communion. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, did you go back on the whole changing Laverna's Manifest Destiny no magic all tech thing, or did you design? Oh yeah, Laverna's aesthetics are gonna change slightly, and I think I'm gonna get rid of their tank. I might have the tank as like a cheat unit that you can like type in a cheat and then you just get the freaking Laverna tanks. I might keep it in the game that way. Because I really do love the tank design. I love the Da Vinci tank design. I just don't think it's appropriate, like, for the kind of feeling I'm going for. But, yeah, Laverna's aesthetics is going to kind of change a little bit. I feel like Laverna's probably still going to be, like, I mean, there's still, like, this empire that's kind of, like, in a state of perpetual expansion. So I don't think that's really going to change that much. You know, Varen's still screwing around with them. So anyway. So yeah, Nephi made my own cosmology map. You mind having a private convo about it? Sure, you can share it to me if you want. See, what's going to happen with the Guardians? I talked about them earlier. The Guardians are actually probably one of the next factions I'll add to the game. I think it was like 20 minutes ago Exo and I talked about the Guardians for a bit. Let's see. It's almost 1 o'clock. I'll probably go on for about 5 more minutes. I'll answer several more questions, and I probably need to get lunch. I'm actually really, really hungry. Let's see. I love Sulcaris' design. She's always looking. A combination of Ellie Kedward. And I am not sure who Ellie Kedward is. Let me look that up. Ellie Kedward. Oh, the Blair Witch. Duh. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, she kind of looks like Sauron and the Blair Witch. My idea for the design of, my kind of thinking behind the design for Sulcaris I have in the image is I kind of want her to look like an evil Korok, kind of. Like just a really evil, like, twisted Korok. So that was kind of my thinking behind when I tweaked her design again. I think it's like the 5th time I've redesigned her now. Alright, let's see what other questions I can answer.
Nep, I'm actually gonna leave right now, so I'll talk to you next time, okay?
Alright, I'll talk to you next time. I'll probably answer like just 1 or 2 more questions,
yeah.
and then I'll get off too. But I'll talk to you later, Exo.
See you, man.
See ya. Alrighty, so I guess guys keep asking questions. I'll answer like 1 or 2 more questions, and then I need to get lunch because I'm starving. Normally I eat lunch before I do these live streams, but I did a live stream earlier than normal. Let's see. Is Malice still a faction? Kind of. Malice might be a gameplay feature just of the Guardians in general. That was actually an idea that Deox had. I should probably talk to him about that sometime. There's so many things I really need to discuss with Deox. But I don't know, he hasn't been around much lately, so I haven't really had a chance to iron out some of these things. Alright, let's see. I think I see like several more questions. Does a sage medallion taste good with salt and pepper? Maybe the forest medallion does. Let's see. See, what is Majora and demons in the new story? Well, they're demons. They're what demons are. See, will we see the Huskus faction in Palagard Sanctuary soon? Actually, I answered that a bit earlier. The Huskus are the one thing I'm completely cutting out of the game, because, like, they were kind of like an original creation of mine that I want to use in my own stuff. In fact, I'm actually seeing Codebin mentioning that in a comment later. Yeah, the Huskus will probably be in Sigma, as they probably should have been. The Huskus are like a thing I completely came up with. I want to use them in my own thing and not a Zelda thing. So, all right, I'll answer 1 more question and then I'm probably gonna get off. So, I'll wait a minute until maybe several questions pop up, and then I'll pick one. So let's see. Type in questions, and I'll answer one more. Then it's lunchtime. I'm only seeing 2 questions. Type away, people. Alright, well, I'm only seeing 2 more questions, so... Alright, well, I'll answer the first one. Is Malice the true villain and Majora is a puppet or servant? How can I answer that question? I mean, Majora's not really a puppet, but neither is Malice. I don't know, it's kind of actually hard for me to answer. I might answer a different question, because I'm not sure how to answer that one. Like, I guess all I could say is Majora's not really a puppet. I guess I could say that much. Okay, I can answer this one. Lord of Creation asks, is Aquamentus a Titan unit for the River Zora or no? At the moment, Aquamentus is a Titan unit for the River Zora. That could change when I'm working on their faction. But at the moment, Aquamentus is definitely their Titan unit. If I have a better idea while I'm working on them, he'll probably be a boss on a map. Alright, I do see one more question I'm going to answer. What will I have for lunch? I'm going to have a bucket of chili fries and 2 tacos for lunch. Alrighty, so that was fun. That live stream went on longer than I expected without Deox. But it was nice to do a live stream. I really should try and do these at least once a month, but just because of the way things were going, like because Hyrule Conquest was broken for so long, and Deox hasn't really been around to do live streams, to do, lore related live streams. I haven't really been able to do these for like 8 months, but I don't know, hopefully that'll change. Maybe Deox and I will do a live stream sometime in November. Maybe we can do one on the cosmology or something. I don't know, but that's probably all for today. I'm gonna go get some lunch now. I just keep your eyes on ModDB. The next version of Hyrule Conquest will be out in I think 11 hours my time, or I guess anyone's time. 11 hours from now it'll be out. So, alright, you guys all have a good one, and time to end the stream.